I got a hot dinner, hot date.
All right. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us today on Titan Talk. We appreciate everybody stopping by, and we wanted to say welcome.
Welcome.
We've got Lieutenant Cooper, and we've got our local talent, Lieutenant McFarland.
Howdy.
Please let me know how you guys can hear us. We got the new setup mostly working. I took probably half of my day Sunday to make sure it was set up. So if you can hear us, let me know. If we need to be tuned up or tuned down, just let us know. And
Looks like somebody said something.
Devin, can you hear us? Phenomenally.
Gosh, we've got some groupies already that they know us too well. Well, I started off the podcast today by saying I have a hot date. I do. It's with my wife, but sorry about that. When you started, I didn't realize he was actually starting, so sorry about that.
Funny part about that is he told me, let's go.
And I said, yeah, I got a hot date, or I said a hot plate, hot dinner, hot date, because we got to get going. Going to go to a place called Saki Sushi. It's up in the Northland, Missouri side. It's really good.
All right.
Got a little bit of everything of that. They got a sushi bar, but they also have like your traditional, just like your orange chicken, General Tso's chicken, sweet and sour, stuff like that. So it's got a little bit of everything.
Nice.
And they always have the really good, that ginger salad dressing.
Yeah.
The orange stuff on the little cold, and just the way the bowl is cold. And we always talk about food.
Food's kind of where we go to. Yes, Suzanne, it is us again. It will probably always be us.
Yep. You're stuck with us forever. What do we got? Friday, you said this is the reaction videos Friday?
So we have the reaction video for this Friday. I had a couple of submissions to me, so thank you guys for sending those. Please keep those coming in. I've found a few on my own, but I always like reacting to the videos that you guys send or Ryan sends because I think that's where we get the most from them. So we have a video on this Friday for reaction. It's going to be a doozy. It is going to be another graphic content, so be aware of that. Don't let your kids watch that one. I don't recommend letting your kids watch this in general, but
Yeah, this podcast probably is for kids. We're not way over the top, but they don't want to see us and be like, that's what I want to grow up and be like.
no, you don't.
Two balding guys with a podcast about security.
Mostly. Sometimes it's not.
Yeah.
But so we have that coming this Friday. We're hoping to get our Todd, our instructor, and I believe it's next week. I'm not 100% sure on that, so don't quote me on it, guys.
Yeah, we tried last Friday. He's got another gig that is on Fridays, so he has to work his schedule around, and we're trying not to to derail his schedule just for us. So trying to make it work
As much as we'd like to.
Yeah, we'd like to have maybe Roses on again, or Lieutenant Roses, excuse me. We still want to get Lieutenant Ortiz out here.
I've actually talked to her
she's
about that,
dodging
and
us.
she's absolutely 100% dodging the
Yes.
ability to do that.
So she watches. So if you hear this, Lieutenant Ortiz, we could use your cute face for the podcast.
Everyone here loves graphic content. If they say they don't, they're lying. That's why we do. It's why we do what we do. Anybody who chooses to do this for a living has a dark sense of humor.
Yep.
Most likely has a dark sense of humor, has a weird way of looking at the world, and is okay seeing some of the weird, the gruesome, and sometimes just the outright nasty things that this world has to produce.
Yeah, you have to, just in our industry. I mean, some security as a whole, not necessarily, but when you work in security in the areas we do, you're going to see death. You're going to see
even
people on their worst days.
Even on regular job, like even on a regular post, I think that's something that a lot of people don't.
There's always a possibility.
Right. They don't understand that. They think that, I'm going to go be security at a warehouse, or I'm going to go be security at a library. And they're like, oh, it's going to be fine. There's nothing weird's going to happen. And lo and behold, 2 days. Really?
What?
Are you not muted? Oh, wow.
Guys, that's how loud
Wow.
they are.
Okay. So if you guys can hear that, which I don't think you can, that's the loudest I've heard them.
Well, it's probably, since we tweaked the mics, it's probably picking them up better.
We can hear it. You guys shouldn't be able to hear them, hopefully. So you guys hear anybody laughing in the background, I apologize. New technology. I'm still working out some of the
It's not
kinks.
your mental illness. That's actually really a person laughing here at right by our little studio here. So we need to get some more of those little like egg crate mats to put up.
I was thinking
Maybe
about
that'll
that, just
buffer a
like
little
lining
bit.
this whole wall with them.
Probably wouldn't hurt. Just also, before I had noticed it, Ryan had sent out a video, and I had told he's always looking for feedback. He's just like we are, So if there's something we can do different, or there's always a good outside perspective. And I messaged her, said the video is great, but for some reason there was like a humming in the background the whole time, and there is I don't know if it's a like a AC generator?
So there's a giant mechanical room right here to I'm pointing behind me, but it's right here to my right, or our right. And
24/7 thing just runs.
24/7, and it runs it's part of what runs the building's AC.
Yeah, it's very loud, and it definitely gets picked up, and it'll probably, I don't know if
with the new mics, I know I heard a little bit of it, but I thought I had it tuned. Maybe it wouldn't. But Devin said you guys did hear the laughter in the background, so I might have to retweak some of those settings. So
that's good feedback to have.
Yeah, definitely.
We might just styrofoam wall that whole thing. Might be easier.
But back to what we were saying, in this industry, you'll go from one area to another, or you'll go from one job site being an empty warehouse where you think everything's going to be fine. You're not supposed to see anybody, and you see some
come across an unattended death in a dumpster.
Exactly.
Or something,
you in this industry, whether that be security, that be law enforcement, whatever it is, in this type of industry, you have to have the understanding that you're going to run into that. It's going to happen, and you have to come to terms with it because it's going to be something that you see. Whether it be, like I said, it could be the most basic EDP, or it could be something that is just gruesome.
Yeah, you always want to make sure you mentally run yourself through that.
Jade confirms our studio is next to the mechanical room.
Thanks, Jade. Go back to not doing your job. So will you text him? You have his number, don't you? Just let him know he's coming in a little loud because I can still hear him.
Yeah, I can too.
It sounds like they're talking right outside the door, and I don't think he means to.
No.
This is James, one of our tech guys. He's just a loud guy, but so am I. My wife says it all the time. We'll be out to eat or something or in public, and she's like, "Why are you yelling?" I was like, "I don't know. I grew up a middle child, so I was always striving for attention. I had to be louder and bigger than everybody, but that's getting a little." I can still hear him, so yeah. Just be like, "Hey, we got a show here." But yeah, so like he said, that's just part of it. You always want to kind of mentally run yourself through stuff like that. And I'd say probably a couple times a month, one of the NEOs will leave after day 1 or 2. And those of you that work for us, the videos that we have you guys watch. It's not like we sit there and just force you to watch a bunch of gruesome stuff, but it kind of gets you prepared. There's one where a guy shoots himself, and then there's one where they have some of these scenes that you may come across kind of play out, some physical altercation, stuff like that. And when I fill in for Instructor Sparks, which I've done a couple times where he's needed a day to do something or for whatever reason had to step out, I've done the one where they have the individual that you guys all see, and I don't want to give it away for too many people, but there's one where an individual shoots himself, and because of...
Just spoil it for you.
Yeah, just to spoil it for you. Because, it just shows you that even a seasoned veteran police officer, more than one, didn't pat this guy down, and he ended up getting in the interrogation room and did not like the outcome of whatever crime he committed or what was probably going to happen to him, so he decided to do that, and it comes out of nowhere because he's just sitting there, and all of a sudden he pulls out a gun and does the deed, and I watch everybody's face.
It's all the same. Everybody.
Usually. And I watch it for a few different reasons, because if you see that and like it, it's probably not a good thing. If you see it and it disturbs you, but you can bear it and know that, hey, that's important for me to know because that'll stop me from making a mistake in the future, that's the reaction I want. But if it really, really bothers you, probably not a good fit for this industry. And if you enjoy stuff like that, you're definitely not a good fit for this industry. So that's, we've talked about it before in earlier videos, but that's kind of there's always a rhyme and reason to what we're doing most of the time. Sometimes we're
every video that we show or that we'll do something like that in our orientation serves multiple purposes. One, it's to inform you of what is a possibility while you're out in the field. Two, it's to inform us of your reaction so we can gauge what type of officer you're going to be. Because maybe not everybody's cut out to see that type of thing, but there are posts for just about anybody. There are places that we can send not send someone, but we can place you at that are a very low chance of something like that happening. And I can never say, I would never say that it is never going to happen, because the entire point of security, the entire point of law enforcement, or anybody who does this line of work, is we are there for the 1% of the population that decides that the rules just don't apply.
Yeah.
No matter what happens, I can do whatever I want. I can act any way I want. I can hurt people. We can do whatever. We are there for that 1%.
Yeah.
So we can never really say it's never going to happen.
Like you said, we don't really deal in that absolute there.
Yeah.
You get caught in a trick bag doing that, because the one time, it's just, I don't know, was it Murphy's Law or whatever? Yeah, Murphy's Law. The one time I put somebody unfit for a physical altercation at a site that's secured is going to be the time some guy sneaks in there and beats them up or, God forbid, kills somebody. So we're pessimists by nature because we see that side of society more often than anybody. Law enforcement, EMS, firefighters, military, you deal with those situations on a daily basis. And so you have to be prepared for that. And so that's what we do when we assess that is, okay, this person's probably not going to be a good fit here. And we have to deal in not being able to deal with absolutes because you can't guarantee that stuff every day. And it's just part of it. So there's, like I said, and he said, there's a rhyme and reason to why we do that stuff. And so those reaction videos are cool to see too, because that way we're like, oh, okay, you can see how somebody reacts to that, and there's reasoning behind that.
Right.
So, I don't know how we got on that topic.
I don't know.
I don't remember.
But it's
either.
a pretty good one.
It is.
Something else to consider as well is when if you're looking that stuff up or you're watching videos to learn about the job type or to learn about the industry in general, and you come across a video that shows, hey, we're going to do a breakdown. There's tons of people who do reaction videos and they do breakdowns. They'll stop. And I'm not going to name any channels because we're not supported, and I'm not putting any support out for any individual channel because that's not what I'm here to do.
This is a Titan channel, not our own. So
right. And so, but there are a ton of people out there who do reaction videos to law enforcement body camera, private citizen body camera, or cameras that they walk around with, and they'll do breakdowns. And some of the ones that are out there, I've run across in searching for body cam videos or just videos of incidents that happen through someone's personal camera, CCTV, all of that stuff. I have found a ton of good content creators out there that put out good information and list laws, reasoning, understanding, and it's not like a basic understanding. It's these guys do the research on it. Unfortunately, there are a ton of guys out there as well that put up videos for that stuff, and they do zero research.
Yeah,
and you can definitely tell the difference between them. And to see some of these guys out there, they're putting out these videos where they're actually giving good information. Hey, this was handled correctly, or this is where this person could have done better. This is where this officer could have done better. This is where this officer excelled, and maybe he could teach others. And to see that, it's awesome. Is to know that we can connect that way, and it's available.
Right.
So that way, if somebody else wants to learn, as long as you know what you're looking at and where you're looking, man, that's just. You can find that information out there.
Yeah, but that's you really bring up a good point. Is somebody can seem like they know what they're talking about. And I was actually watching this video on Instagram. I just got my Instagram a couple months ago. I know I'm way behind the curve, but I always thought it was like taking pictures of your food with.
Him using any technology is a win.
I've been on Facebook forever, and I was on Twitter, but I just got off all because it's just boring. But I was never a big Instagram fan, just because I don't like seeing people's like pumpkin spice lattes and food that they're eating because they just take pictures of that stuff. But a couple of my friends only use that, so I got on it, and I was reading or watching an article, and the guy was talking about pro Second Amendment advocates and people that pretend to be or act like they are, and they'll be standing at a photo shoot with a weapon and they won't have good trigger or muzzle discipline, and it just tells. You can see right away. They're like, yeah, I'm a real big fan of the AR-15, and they're holding it and they got their finger on the trigger and they're pointing at the guy next to him. Yeah. Hopefully the thing's unloaded. But you see things like that being a firearms instructor, someone that takes safety of firearms very, very seriously, and same with Lieutenant Coop. When we see that stuff, or someone calls it a clip and not a magazine, we seem like we're kind of pretentious when we're just like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. But at the same time, nothing frustrates us more than someone pretending to be something that they're not in those situations. And so having the background we have, that's a good point you bring up. You always want to make sure you vet your sources on stuff like that. And a lot of people don't do that anymore. And so fact checking isn't just the only way to go. Often, a lot of times, fact checking is incorrect because there's usually an agenda behind that. But if you understand the person a little bit better, you can usually gauge whether or not what they're talking about is true.
I actually watched a really good video about fact checking. There's a video, and again, I'm not going to name any content creator or anything like that because it's not my personal channel. This is a Titan channel, so I'm not going to do that. But I was watching a video. I normally, when I come across one that has a voiceover on it already, I will skip past it, or I'll save it for myself for later, just so I can watch it later. But I was watching it, and it was a subject that I was like, wow, that's something I actually kind of want to know a little bit about. And the guy, I've done some research on the guy, and he does a lot of back research in some of his on most of his videos. Some of them, it's just he ties into other videos that he's done before, so he doesn't have to do the research again. But he was doing a video on a couple of guys who had done some research, or at least there as far as they could on the civilian side, research wise, and thought they were in the right.
Right.
Well, they went out and they did something. They were magnet fishing, and in an area that they confirmed on as far as you could civilian wise, it was okay. And then it was near a military base, so when they called the cops to report some ordnance that they found, the military police came out, and the military police was like, "Hey, I have no idea what to do here, so we're going to call our bomb squad to have them come out." Well, the game warden wound up coming out because he was the sheriff of the area, and he was responsible. He wound up giving the guys like 3 tickets each.
Yeah.
And if he'd done
I heard about this, I didn't see it
because they didn't do enough research. Well, they never would have known to go any further than they did. So using sound judgment would have been like, you know what, you guys did as much as you could without actually knowing the difference between the military law that surrounds that area and the federal regular civilian law that surrounds it.
Right.
So I'm going to give you guys a warning. Don't do it again. Get off. Get out. And he didn't do that. And I understand where he was coming from. I get 100% why he gave them the tickets he gave them. Those are the exact laws that they broke. They openly admitted it.
Yeah.
They've got it on camera doing it.
Well, especially if he's got a camera held to him, it's going to be hard to explain to his
exactly. But it's one of those. But it's one of those things like when you're looking at it, you're like, man, I just it strikes me as like, you know what, that would have been something that I probably would have been like, look, guys, I get it. You didn't know. You did as much research as you thought you could have done for it, but I'd have just bounced out.
Well, and common sense would lead me to believe if I'm magnet fishing.
Could see Coop talking and hearing McFarland.
Well, I'm the better one anyway. So he was talking about a video he saw recently of some people that do what's called magnet fishing, which actually looks pretty cool. They have this huge, like, powerful magnet, and it's at the end of like a nice heavy duty rope, and I've seen them do it like at bridges and like ponds and stuff. And
can you guys hear us real quick? Let me just get this out of the way because now, Gary, you've got me worried. Can you guys hear us? Just so we can make sure that we've got this correct, because I got a couple of comments here saying audio's out. Oh, it's back. Oh, it's messed up.
How about now? Can you hear me?
So
blink twice if you can hear us.
It seems to be working. Okay, so we should be okay. Hopefully it looks like it's okay. Maybe it was just a glitch in the system.
Yeah, keep us updated.
Yeah, if you guys at any point just keep giving me that feedback because it allows me to fine tune. Like I said, this is new equipment. I thought I had all the bugs worked out. Maybe I don't.
So what he was talking about.
Sorry.
Yeah, you're fine. What he was talking about was a magnet fishing video. And again, if you don't know what magnet fishing is where you take this huge, powerful magnet and like it'll hook up to a bicycle, and if you're strong enough, it'll bring it up. And so they throw them off bridges and stuff into bodies of water. And common sense, and part of this is just the industry that I know, there's always rules when it comes to military bases or government buildings that are usually way in the fine print. And so what he said is he saw this video about how...
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
These kids or these guys were magnet fishing near a military base. Well, there's obviously... red flag, military base, stuff near. It's like Area 51. You can only get so close. Military bases usually have some red tape that's invisible. And so I wouldn't feel comfortable magnet fishing near a military base. For one, there's probably, like you said, ordnance down there that I don't want to hook up to my magnet.
Well, they found a bunch.
And two, yeah, there's stuff that you just aren't supposed to be messing with. And so they did. And the MPs came out, which is the military police, and they're like, ooh, I don't know what to do. Local game wardens have usually the most power over like city police and stuff like that, just because they're elected officials. And some people won't even deal with city police. They only go from elected officials, and they get themselves in trouble a lot for doing that because you still need to follow directions from a law enforcement officer. But anyway, long story short, they got some tickets because they did not know what they were supposed to be doing. And that ties back to what we were saying when you watch these videos of these people, including us. You know, we're always going to have our opinion subconsciously put in there. I think we're all fairly like-minded, so that's why we enjoy doing the show and interacting with you guys. But make sure you're doing your research on that stuff when you're watching these videos. And I'm assuming that's came up because of the reaction videos. But
Yeah.
he was just pointing out, it goes to show that you can do everything right and try to follow the steps, but there's going to be things you miss. So
Yeah.
at the end of the day, use your common sense.
Yeah.
And common sense would tell you shouldn't fish for metal
So
objects.
it's funny is about the
military
video
base.
is they found 120 old explosive ordinances, and the worst part about it to me was they found like 86 of them in a bag.
Oh yeah,
Like somebody had put them in the
Disposed
bag.
of it.
No, like they were taking them. They almost got caught, so they tossed them off the river. But they were like old.
yeah.
And so the military cop was like, "How old do you think that bag is?" And the game warden was like, "No, that bag's old, dude. Like that bag is
That's
old."
like stuff you hear about, like a lot of people's grandpas did in World War II, where they would like steal stuff
Yeah.
to bring back to their wives, or
memorabilia.
Yep. One of my fraternity brothers, his dad, I won't say any names, but his dad's father, so his grandpa, fought in the Pacific Theater in World War II, so against the Japanese, and he had a pack off a dead Japanese soldier. You weren't supposed to do that back then, and he kept it, and it's got a cool. I mean, it's cool. It's belonged to a guy that fought for his country bravely, but. Fortunately, we won, and that's why we're not speaking German these days.
I have a friend who actually
at least not unwillingly.
I got a friend. His grandfather came back with a pair of swords.
Yeah, so he had it was a pack with all the belongings of the Japanese soldier.
Messing up again. Damn.
They had
Continue on.
Yeah, it had a cool Japanese flag that they carried in there. My wife was calling me during the podcast. She knows not to. Hold on.
So, guys, McFarland's going to keep you guys a little entertained. I'm going to try and figure out some of this technical difficulties. It could just be the fact that there's a little bit of delay between the technology from one side to the technology on the other. But Lieutenant McFarland's going to talk a little bit more. And
Yeah,
keep you guys entertained.
if you guys could see it, I'll just kind of explain to you what he's doing. He's just pushing buttons randomly, but.
I so badly want to flip you off.
Well, this is 18 and older, so you could definitely throw up double kickstands and probably wouldn't get kicked out. But he's got all these bells and whistles over here. I mean, they're literally, it's like all the colors of the rainbow, and it's got like an LCD display. And I'm old school. I would have had 2 microphones that plug into the computer and just said, this is how we're going to do it. Because the more moving parts something has, the more opportunity for parts to break and not work. I'm old school that way. If you haven't figured that out, that's not my technology is not my jam, because it's frustrating. Because like I'm assuming Coop did everything right here. You can do everything right and still just stuff doesn't work. We run into technical issues all the time.
Funny. The system I got is supposed to tie into. So we have to use. In case anybody's wondering, the laptop that's in front of me, that's what we're using to run this whole thing. Well, you can't plug multiple cameras into my laptop. It just doesn't work that way. I don't have enough HDMI plugins for that. There's also no video cards on my laptop. So we use a device here that I can connect multiple cameras to.
Yeah.
Well, the audio device is supposed to connect to it easily. It took me 2.5 hours just to get it to see each other.
Is this what it sounds like when I talk sports?
Yeah.
Because I have no idea what you're talking about.
Absolutely. This is exactly what
Chiefs had a fantastic game last night. So we played the Buccaneers. I think it was the first time we've played them since we lost to them in the Super Bowl. Pat Mahomes and Tom Brady, probably one of the best, if not the best quarterback of all time, and one of the best of his generation. Pat Mahomes, and potentially probably going to take the throne from Tom Brady at some point if Tom Brady ever hangs it up. So in football terms, Tom Brady is like father time. Yeah. He's like in his 40s still competing.
And he's still doing well from what I know.
Competing with guys in their early 20s that have youth and just athletic talent and God-given, and he's still competing with them, which is he is like statistically like shouldn't exist.
And we're on to sports now.
Yes. Who doesn't like sports out there?
Devin's saying it.
Oh.
Suzanne says we got to be nice to each other.
We are nice to each other.
Most of the time.
Yeah.
I am going to interrupt your sports, though.
Okay, go ahead.
So Gary said any information on the career advancement program.
Okay, so you guys will see something come out about that, I believe, from HR before too long. I'm not going to say too much without it being finalized, but we actually had a meeting today about it on some of the requirements and things that you will need to do to be considered and then enrolled. And so I'm not going to say too much to upset HR, but you will see something very soon come out about basically a paint by number, step by step of what you need to do and things you have to have done prior to going into that. We're excited that it's coming back because it's a really good tool for us. As much as we want to say we are 100% correct on seeing all the talent in the field, we're just not. We can't be everywhere at once. And so this program will really help give us the resources of finding additional officers that can eventually take my spot or take his spot as we, move through the company and progress with our career path. And so, I've always been a firm believer, and people have told me, some of my mentors growing up, coaches and stuff like that, is you always want to train the guy underneath you to take your spot.
To take your spot.
And so that's kind of what we are trying to do here in that career advancement program. Again, I'm not going to say details because that's still being finalized. Like I said, we met today at 12:30 about it.
Gary, to your next comment, it said came out last week. There was some information that came out last week. Yes, 100% correct on that. However, there will be more coming out on the career advancement program. Probably, I'm not going to say a date because I don't know. We were talking about it today. We had probably a 45-minute meeting about it. It was about the entire program, not just little aspects of it, but how the program's going to work, what's required to be in the program, what's required to even try to, to apply to it and things like that. And so we had about a 45-minute conversation with HR, all the lieutenants, the branch managers, chief of security, everybody who's going to be involved with this project and process. And we came to agreements and came to say, hey, this is what we all believe will work and work well. Yeah. And then that email or update should come out. And as soon as we get permission to say something about it, we'll bring it out on the podcast, just like we do everything else that we get permission to do. So that way we get you guys not only the update through email and notifications through Lighthouse and stuff like that, but also so you guys can have it on here and we can keep record of it. So that way at any point, if anybody has any questions on it, we'll have all of the information we can online right here ready for you guys.
Yeah, the one thing I will say that I can say about it now is make sure you read it and you follow the instructions, because part of this process is to identify people that can do those things. And if you can do those on your own, and questions are okay. I'm never going to deter people from asking questions, but if you ask me a question that you could answer by doing a little bit of research or doing a little bit of legwork on your end, that's what we look for in a supervisor, because I'm going to rely on you to take on more responsibility. So don't think that I don't want you to ask questions, but know that that's being applied to you as an employee. Is, can this person take on these tasks, or can this person take on these additional responsibilities, without me having to supervise intensely over their ability to carry out these tasks? And so if the answer is no, then that would lead me to say, okay, I need you to work on this, this, and this before we can reapply and get you down the right path. I'm not going to give somebody a position that they're not set to be successful for, or at least to the best of their ability.
Exactly. Agreed.
And so that's what this program is for us to identify people that can take on the additional work, that have the experience, that deserve, the pay bump or a better schedule or a better location, because they're able to help facilitate some of those needs that we have on their own. And so just think of it like that. You're being tested, I guess, is the best way to put it, and not in a bad way. You're being analyzed is the best way to put it. You're being analyzed.
I almost think that sounds worse.
Analyzed?
Yeah.
Tested seems like it's a pass or fail. It's not really a pass or fail. We're going to give you guidance.
That's true.
Yeah, we're going to give you guidance whether or not we think you're good for a position or not. And if not, it could be, hey, you need to work on your grammar or your dictation before I can really take you to the next step. And so there's not a fail. Failing would be quitting, and we're not going to quit on you, so don't quit on us. What we want is you to be moldable and be able to follow directions and complete tasks. And so that's the best advice I can give you with this new rollout that'll say, hey, this is the steps you need to do. Do that to the best of your ability. And that leads me to believe that, okay, this person can handle a little bit more stress, a little bit more responsibility. Because I'll tell you right now, moving up in this company your life does not get better. So.
Well, it gets better, but I think
there's trade-offs.
Yeah, there's trade-offs.
I have the greatest boss on the planet, and it's because of the team I work with. Yep. If I needed to go down to my car and leave the property right now, there would be no questions asked.
Well, we would have to finish the podcast. Then you could leave.
Yeah, exactly. But there's some perks and rewards there that aren't going to be met with schedule or money wise. So just keep that in mind when you do move up or move, whether it's a horizontal or vertical movement. You know, as long as we're not going backwards, that's the direction we want to be going. And so we're going to make you successful or prepare you to be as successful as possible. So just keep that in mind. If you know, I dead set on getting a sergeant position, and we have one that we don't think is going to be a good fit, don't take that as, you know, it's bad. It's just that's not the best thing for you.
Something that everybody has to realize when it comes to that is just because we say no doesn't mean that it's not a possibility in the future. It just might mean that what we have now at this time is not a fit.
Right.
We could have a position that pops up 6 months, 4 months, a year.
That happens quite a bit.
That we look at and you know what? You weren't a fit for this one. However, this new one, bam.
And sometimes it's to your benefit, you know. Well, hopefully it is all the time. We're going to try and put you in a position we think you're going to be most successful at. And if that's where you're at right now and currently staying at, then that's what we'll tell you. But that doesn't mean we're not going to consider you. The CAP program is basically like, hey, these are our guys that are ready and willing and eager, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, haven't drank all the Kool-Aid yet. And so what I want you guys to understand is when we see you in there and we see that you're putting in the work to get recognition for that or recognize that, hey, I'm over here, I'm willing, able-bodied to help and take on more responsibility, that does not go unnoticed. And so where we put you or what we do from there just depends on your personal strengths and weaknesses, and everybody has them, and everybody's are different. So just keep that in mind. I got denied the sergeant position twice. I interviewed twice for a sergeant position, and then ended up going to patrol corporal, and it was the greatest decision I ever made because I went away from the on-sites and was on the patrol side of things. And it was a better fit for me. I was just better at it.
I got passed up for lieutenant twice. When our original lieutenants, not the lieutenants that we are now,
yes.
When a lieutenant rank first became available, it was a much different lieutenant spot. And I applied for it twice, got turned down twice, and it was probably the best thing that ever happened to me.
Yeah, I didn't even get an option with a lieutenant position. I was a sergeant, and they said, this is now becoming a lieutenant position.
We all walked in and goes, you're a lieutenant now.
Sometimes you get voluntold that you were promoted, and it's mixed emotions on those. So I didn't even go to supervisor training until I was a lieutenant.
Yeah,
that's how much of a natural I think I was. No, it was just not as readily available as it is now, and so there's a lot more training that goes into. They're like, hey, you're former law enforcement, so you'll be perfect for patrol. It's like, I don't know what Titan does. Like, this is weird.
It's kind of the same thing.
Yeah, but
without taking anyone to jail.
Right. Don't write any more tickets. That's great. Perfect. I didn't like doing that anyway. And I don't have to put a guy that pooped all over himself in the back of my patrol car.
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
I can put him in PD's car. Let's go. I'm down for that.
Oh, he's off property. I don't have to chase him. Fantastic. This is a good gig.
So, Suzanne, to answer your question, the coupon code for that from Safe Life, who's been kind enough to give us a coupon code, not sponsored, although that might be something to look into.
Yeah, well, I think that they're doing pretty good without us. So
shut up.
They don't know who we are.
Well, they gave us a 10% discount, so
yeah, we spend a lot of money on them.
Yeah,
well, our officers do.
So it's Safe Life Defense is the company that gives us the coupon code. I think it's 10 or 12, 20 or 10 or 15,
10%.
10%. So it's 10%, but the coupon code is Titan, and it's all capitalized.
Or security.
Or security. I know that
one of them doesn't work anymore.
I say Titan, unfortunately, we ran into an issue with it when they redid it. I think they redid it as just security.
Yeah.
So
try Titan Security, or security, and one of those three should work. And it basically covers your shipping and a little bit of the tax.
Yeah, which is better than nothing.
Oh, for sure.
Absolutely.
If you're a guy on a budget and you want to, wear body armor because of the location you're at, or just at the end of the day, our uniforms are very hard to discern between police and security, and people will try to kill police officers for absolutely no reason.
No.
And security too, just people of authority. It's just a hazard of our industry, and everybody knows that. Going through our training, we explain that to you, that you need to be able to defend yourself and try and keep yourself as safe as possible. And a lot of times, depending on where you're working at, or really just about anywhere you're working at, that's that dealing with the no certainty of, or the uncertainty of our industry and society. Sometimes that means you got to wear body armor. And
the biggest question I always get when it comes to body armor is, and you know what? Let's make a video about that.
I think we have that list of videos we're going to do, and that was one of them. Just kind of go over.
So we'll confirm.
We've done it before. But
we've done a little one, but I think we went over it a little bit with uniform, how to put your duty belt together. I think Leon had a little bit about body armor in there.
Yep.
We'll make a podcast video on body armor, but the biggest question I get is, can I wear outer or inner or anything like that? That will always change from client to client. But some of our clients do not like the look of an outer vest because it's very tactical, it's very militaristic looking, and they're not looking for that. They're looking for someone who's a little bit more customer service friendly. They want people to be able to see them and feel safe, and some people just don't.
Yeah.
And that's the world we live in. So those clients don't want outers.
Yeah.
But an inner vest, nobody here in the company will ever stop anybody from wearing an inner vest because one, we're not going to, but two, it's something that everybody should have.
Yeah, every client.
If you do security, I recommend at least having an inner vest.
Yeah.
Armed or unarmed, just because it adds an extra layer of protection.
And so, like he said, every client we have will allow inner vest body armor. So please invest in an inner vest. It rhymes. Please invest in an inner vest. The Safe Life one, I think you spend $89 a month for 4 months. They ship it to you before it's paid off.
Yep.
Because
you make your first payment and they'll ship it.
Yep. And so I recommend doing that. And then once you get comfortable with that, then we can go over some options for outer vests for you. Safe Life inner vests fit a lot of different outer carriers. Safe Life outer carrier is nice. It's not the one I wear just because there's a few features on it that I don't like. And I could go into that in detail with you at a later date or a different time. Email me if you have questions about it. But one of the biggest things is it doesn't have a cummerbund, which means that it doesn't flap up and Velcro underneath it. It just Velcros on the sides. And I've been in instances where my partner at the time and I were dealing with a not-so-happy camper on a bad part of town that decided to get physical. And in the scuffle, his vest got unlatched, and parts of his equipment were more easily accessible for the bad guy. And we don't want that to happen. So that was one thing I saw. And it's just, I'm also a bigger guy, so the Safe Life doesn't always have the greatest customizable sizes.
The thing about Safe Life, I love their product. Love Safe Life as a company.
The
has been
armor
phenomenal.
itself is fantastic,
and that is probably one of the best companies I've seen that comes out with body armor. Again, not
best
sponsored,
best bang for your buck.
But it is absolutely the best bang for your buck. Even though there are some small cons that me and you agree with almost 100%. But they are when it comes to sizes of vest, they offer small, medium, large, XL. And that's that's the base size.
That's the gist of it.
There's no customizing it. There's nothing like that. It is a one-size vest where guys like McFarland, guys like me, I needed something. I got a little bit more of a belly. I needed something that fit a little better.
Yeah.
So I went out and bought a vest that was custom fit to me.
Yep. So did I.
And made it easier to wear a vest.
I have, which is rare. Most people have longer legs when they're tall, but I have a longer torso, so I had to get what they call a long or an extra long, so it covers from your navel to like the top of your breastplate. So that those vitals are covered. Obviously, it's not like the movies where the body armor covers the entire body. No, we just cover our vital organs so that if we do get shot there, that vest stops the brunt of it, and we just have a really bad bruise and probably
some broken
sore
ribs
for a couple days. Yeah, I'll take broken ribs over death any day.
Absolutely.
So, and if I got to shield somebody else, that vest helps keep me safe and them safe.
Yeah.
So that's why it's important to have that and understand it. So if you guys have questions, please email us about the body armor. We'll go over it. I really, really encourage everybody to invest in a vest that's an inner vest because you can wear it everywhere. And once you get comfortable wearing the inner vest, then we can move on. A lot of people want to go, I want to be tactical, and we'll get to that point, but you can't work at all our sites with that. So if you only have an outer vest, you cannot wear it at certain sites, and that really limits your ability to
wear it.
To wear it. And so if you have an inner vest, you can wear it everywhere.
Yeah.
No questions asked. And so that's why I suggest you just invest in the inner vest. Please, please, please do. Safe Life is a fantastic, reputable, good body armor. You can then upgrade to different outer carriers.
Different vests, different plating and stuff like that.
The most expensive and most important part is the soft armor. It's level 3A. It'll stop basically essentially any handgun round.
I believe it's up to a 44 Magnum.
Yeah.
Unless it's Safe Life.
Speed.
If you get some of the newer Safe Life stuff, I mean, it's man, they've made some
claiming,
advances.
yeah, they're claiming they can stop some rifle rounds, but we carry handguns. I don't want my guys engaging in
they're all
rifle
soft
rounds.
armor.
Yeah,
All soft armor now.
But they're
Safe Life at least.
Yeah, they're starting to be able to get some rifle round protection, which is incredible.
Amazing.
Yeah, because the difference between a handgun round and a rifle round is the speed, the FPS, feet per second that bullet travels. And so the faster it travels, the better penetration it has on a vest. So typically, if your standard AR-15s or AK-47s or any kind of higher powered rifles, caliber doesn't matter as much. You could get a 22 that goes fast enough to go through your vest. It's also going to be quieter. It's all about speed. And so that's why like the large handguns and stuff will stop. It's going to hurt like hell, but it'll stop it from penetrating your skin. Yeah. And creating damage on the inside of your body, which ultimately is what kills you. Yeah. It's the rounds that go in and do a lot of damage to all your organs, so you aren't able to stop the bleeding. You end up bleeding out.
So next one is Gary. Any word on the new uniforms? So we have some information on it, but we're waiting for some finalization. As soon as I have the go-ahead, I will give everybody the full update that we have about that. There are some new things coming for uniforms, and that includes jackets, that includes new shirts, new pants, the whole 9 yards, everything but boots. So as soon as I get the 100% clear to give everybody the update on that, I will do so. Let's see. Topeka, the uniforms look like county sheriff, and that's exactly it. Some of our uniforms look like law enforcement, and so we've got to be prepared for that.
Yep.
And Suzanne, yeah, I know you're planning ahead, and I know exactly what you're after. Shift or post.
Those cookie.
The cookies. So other than that, that's really it. I don't have any major updates for the week.
One of our patrol
guys, I made
guys,
a couple of phone calls out to some guys today about coverage. If you guys wind up watching this podcast thank you.
Yeah, some guys really stepped up today. We were in a pickle this morning.
I have said this countless times, and I'm probably going to continue to say it forever and ever and ever, just because now we have a platform that we can. Those of you that have been stepping up, those of you that have been helping out, thank you. You guys have really saved our bacon today, especially. I made some phone calls, and some of y'all out there were just all about helping out, and without question, you let me move you around to different shifts and stuff. Thank you.
Yeah, Coop gets in a little bit before me most days, and so just the way our shifts stagger. And he was in the weeds when I got in, so it's normal. I wouldn't say it's out of the ordinary. Just hit the ground running. I come in, instantly hopping in on emails, client complaints, coverage issues, and stuff like that. And coverage is obviously one of our main priorities, so that we get people where they need to be. And if people aren't going to be there, that we allow or we alert the client and say, hey, unfortunately, this officer is sick, didn't have child care, whatever the reason may be. So we keep everybody updated, and that line of communications open. And with the staffing shortage, we have 99.9% of our clients, 98% of our clients are very understanding, because they're dealing with the same things. They're like, yeah, I had 2 cashiers not show up today, so I know your pain. I appreciate the heads up. Give me an update when you can. Kyle is calling me. When you guys are able to be flexible with us like that, and I saw Coop pulling some favors today with some guys, and he pulled it off, and we were able to really facilitate our clients' needs better. And you guys don't always see how the sausage is made, and sometimes you don't. So I don't recommend Googling or YouTubing how hot dogs and sausage are made, because you probably won't eat the hot dogs and sausage anymore, but they're still delicious breakfast in ballpark items to have that you don't want to ruin that with. You don't want to see how we make things work sometimes.
Sometimes a little bit of duct tape goes in.
Yeah, I explain it to my bosses, and actually Kyle, the director, that's just calling me. Hopefully there's nothing pressing, but I've explained to him before, and he loves the analogies, because he says I have great analogies, which I think I do. But I said sometimes just don't come down to the patrol room for a while, because things are going to get hectic, and
things might be a little messy.
It's going to look awful, but at the end of the day, 90% of our guys are going to be where they need to be, and it's going to be a win, because the 10% that aren't have legitimate reasons for missing, and yada yada yada. Yeah. So just keep that in mind. So thank you guys. That today there was, I think, 3 or 4 people we completely just called and said, hey, I know you're working this today, but now you're not. You're doing this now. And okay. They didn't say okay. They just, yes sir, I'll take care of it.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
Yep.
Thanks for letting me know.
Absolutely.
So on that, we're gonna end it. I appreciate you guys stopping by, and if you guys need anything, you guys have any comments or anything you guys want to put, please post it in there. Let us know. I'll check like I said, I check the comments pretty often. And yeah, as McFarland walks in front of the camera completely.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Keep going. There you go.